felt battered. A lot of you do not know why I felt battered and know me since I was 11 years old, but I think I need to tell you guys today. But before I do that, we're going to let the panel introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mita Leacock. I have a foundation called I Am Wonder Woman. We speak and mentor to a lot of the young girls. I do a lot of work in New Jersey. I was born and raised here in Brooklyn, so I am coming back to Brooklyn to speak to the girls out here. I also have another foundation called The Gloves Are Off, where we deal with battered women and helping them to build a new life. I currently am in school getting my PhD in leadership and management. I've been in the music industry for 20 years. I've probably done everyone's album from Wu-Tang to Puff Daddy to Akon to Melanie Fiona. I've been in sports for 10 years. I represent a lot of professional athletes. I've probably done it all. And I was married to Zab Judah for 7 years, who is Brooklyn's professional boxer. And I did a lot of his work, and I just decided to start my own foundation and begin my own life and give back to my community. And so that's why I'm here today.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shakara McLaurin. 3 years ago, I was a victim of a very intense bullying situation, which led to me being brutally beaten by 15 girls from one of the high schools within the building of another high school that I went to. Since then, after that, I decided to turn my pain into purpose and create Victim to Victorious, which we call V2V. We motivate, we encourage, we go out to schools, we speak about bullying or any type of abuse. I'm also the founder and CEO of Chosen Generation, which is an inner city youth performing arts program and recording choir from the ages of 8 to 16. They're over there. Hi, Chosen Generation. Also, we teach dance, we teach drama, vocal instruction. We give them etiquette on and off stage. And I am also the proud partner of Leaders of Tomorrow Brooklyn under the leadership of Minister Whitehead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Come on, y'all, wake up now. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lori Cumbo. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I went to Brooklyn Technical High School, and then I went to my dream college, Spelman, in Atlanta, Georgia. So just big ups to Spelman. I hope that you young ladies will consider Spelman when you're thinking about your college choices. And then I went to New York University, and I received my master's degree in visual arts administration. So I've always been about the arts. And I took that passion and my graduate thesis into creating a museum in Brooklyn called the Museum of Contemporary African Diaspora and Arts. It's also known as MOCADA, and it's Brooklyn's first black art museum. It's going into its 15th year. And I created that museum because Brooklyn has so many dynamic black cultures here, from Panama and Grenada to Jamaica and Trinidad to South Carolina, all over the globe, wanted to create a museum that would unite us. And that museum is now going into a capital campaign on Hanson Place in South Portland, but we're gonna move to 38 Lafayette, next door to BAM, and we're gonna create a 6-story building that will house our culture and our history so that our presence in Brooklyn will be solidified and captured for generations to come. So I'm all about legacy building. What are we doing on this earth that's gonna live beyond our years? And recently, I transitioned from the museum and I ran for public office, and now I am your city council member for the 35th Council District. Thank you. Representing Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, Prospect Heights, Crown Heights, and parts of Bedford-Stuyvesant, the Hatton areas in Brooklyn, but I still claim East Flatbush because that's where I'm born and raised. And that's right, I see some East Flatbush in here. And I'm also chair of the Women's Issues Committee. And so this will be the committee and the position that I will hold for the next 4 years. So issues pertaining around women and young girls will be a focal part of my administration, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vladimir Kalixty. I am a therapist. I'm a family and marriage therapist in private practice called Life Rebuilding. And I also see regular clients as well as celebrity clients. I am so happy to be here. And I'll get into a little bit in terms of why I'm so passionate about what I do. I am a product of single parent. My mom was a single mom who did her very best. And throughout that time, I had a lot of self-loathing, not having a father around. And it hurt until I realized who I was. So that's why I'm so happy to be here to talk to young ladies about the importance of knowing who you are and how important that is. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Good evening. Watching you and being a guest here brings so much to me. It's so good to see sisters together coming as a sisterhood. And I want to thank the minister and all who helped him to bring this together. Let's right now do that, if we please. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Because it's so important right now. I've been living in New York City since 1961. After having traveled the world as a dancer, singer, actress, first with the Catherine Dunham Company. I don't know if you know of that company. It was like the Alvin Ailey Company, only it had to do with culture more. You learned about the dance from the Caribbean, from South America, from Brazil, the Africans in Mexico. We did a dance called La Bamba, and I'm saying, this is Mexican, why are we doing it? It was all black company. I didn't know that we had been in Mexico for centuries. And so it was education. But there's something here that made me want to quote a sister, the wife of Malcolm X, who said, find the good and raise it. Find the good and praise it. And that's what's happening here today. When I stood there and I saw this young sister come out and dance, I said, yes, because that's how I dance. That's how I got out of the south side of Chicago. I'm one of 8 children. Our father was in the house, but he brought with him the stress and the anger from Alabama, where he was born and raised. And so we experienced that. But because I had a mother who was a researcher, she didn't take the top. She said, let's go in the back. Let's find out why he's angry. Don't just get mad at daddy. Find out why he's angry. And that started me on my pursuit. So later on, I wrote books about young people. The first one being Cornrows. I don't know if you know that book. But I was tired of people laughing and talking about our hair. And I said, let me put some roots on this tradition. And so I wrote that book. And then I wrote another one called The Shimmer Shine Queens, because I was working for Jazzmobile in the schools. And when I went into school and I heard the children calling each other the B word and the D word, and I said, what? That's not the school I used to go to. What is this? And so then I wrote another book called Tamika and the Wisdom Rings. All of it dealing with our young people. I love you, we love you. Don't you ever feel as if you're by yourself, because you have an ocean of people around the world who love our people. We look at what's happening in Nigeria, that's a shame, but we have our people here who are suffering also, and we're not getting excited and going out and getting them. So you young people here and you parents here, know that you have backup. And it's the kind of backup that will give their lives for you. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's what we have to do. Look at Dr. King. He gave his life for us. Harriet Tubman gave his life for us. So many went before, gave their lives so that we can have lives. And so on this occasion, I hope we talk and share and uplift and bring our glory. I also put music together on 2 CDs, one by Vanguard Records called The Iron Pot Cooker, and then there was Ancestor House, a cable show I started. I have a band called Ancestor Band. So I'm in the culture, and the culture is power. Look at media. How did we get changed? How did some of those things that the minister talked to change from bad to good? From good to bad, it was media. And entertainers were used to do that. So let's talk about that today. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, sister.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tashira Simmons, ex-wife of DMX. And the reason why I'm here is because my friend Aurora invited me to come. And to be honest with you, we met, she gave me her testimony, and I'm all about encouraging and positivity. So once she told me that it was about uplifting and it was a whole bunch of sisters and brothers that were coming together for a purpose, a good purpose, I was all for it. To tell you a little bit about myself, I was abandoned as a child. I'm the oldest of 8. And as I went on through life, it was a serious struggle. A lot of drugs and, verbal, mental, and emotional abuse, which I really didn't even realize that I was being affected by, because as a young child, 14 years old, just trying to make it and help, raise my brothers and sisters, that was my main focus. I just always wanted to be a role model for my brothers and sisters, because we were out there alone. And it's amazing to me because I was born a Muslim, took my Shahada at 7, and I converted over to Christianity for no reason, just trying to find myself, But I love both of the religions. But it was just so amazing to me because at such a young age, I found God. And when I look back now on what I've been through, what I went through as a young child, it was amazing that I didn't go left with no guidance whatsoever. At the age of 18, I met DMX, Earl Simmons, and we were both 2 lost teenagers, and from 2 different sides of the fence. But he had a heart of gold, and he had a lot of bad rumors, a lot of bad raps about himself. But I always saw something in him. So we got together for the next 10 years. We struggled, we battled so many storms, and then boom, he lands a record deal. We become millionaires overnight. Because it's a long story, so I'm just trying to breeze through it. But my whole point is, when we had nothing, those 10 years were the best years of our life. When we became millionaires is when all the problems started. You really got to be careful you got to be careful on what you ask for, because you just might get it. We had 4 beautiful children. The next 15 years was hell in the industry. I saw my best friend gain the world and lose his soul. In this industry, a very talented, loving man with a lot of issues. But this business, this entertainment business, is not to play with. It's the devil's playground, literally. And I've lived it, trust me. So, by the grace of God, I made it out with my mind, okay? My dignity and my respect. And I didn't know who I was. When I came out of that relationship, he was my God, sad to say. Even though I believed in God, my world revolved around him. So once God snatched that out from me, I was lost, and I did find myself. But the reason why I came here today was because now I go all over and I talk to young girls, women, men, just about how important it is to know who you are. Like, if you don't know who you are, you're done, bottom line. And that's what saved me, is because even though I didn't know who I was, I had God. So I should say, if you don't have God in your life, you're done. So, I'm so happy and proud and honored, I should say, to be sitting here next to so many powerful women, because you're my inspiration, really. I mean, the downfall to it all was I never got a chance to, really educate myself, and go to school and, get all the degrees, but I'm doing that now. So I'm here to say it's never too late. You know what I mean? And I don't feel bad. I'm not bitter. I'm happy. I pray for DMX all the time. I try to teach my kids to be right and do right at all times. And you got to understand, like, everything is not for us to always understand. Everything happens for a reason. And I took my purpose, I took my pain, and when I tell you it was pain, into purpose, where now I'm just floating. I'm floating, and I'm just, anything that I'm called to, I want to just go. I want to share my story. I want to encourage. I want to inspire. I want to let God use me as a vessel to say, listen, regardless of what, you can do it. Just because that happened, and it was very humiliating. I mean, it wasn't just bad enough we go through it within our families and everything, when you have a bad breakup. But to be worldwide in public, sometimes I don't know how I did it. I know it was only God. So I said, you know what, God? I'm going to let you use me and my positive attitude, and I'm going to go around with my head up high, and when people ask me about DMX, I am going to always talk positive about that man, because he is the father of my children, and that man has issues and demons that was too big for me to control or even fix, and it's time for me to move on and let him use me the way he's supposed to use me. So I just want to I'm just happy to be here to talk to the young women, grown women, men, ask me anything. I'm just so full of life and just ready to because that's why I got my PhD in life.
Hi, my name is April Walker, and I'm here today because I am a Brooklyn native. I claim Brooklyn. Anyway, I came here very, very early, and I see myself in you. That's why I'm here. I am you. I've had a lot of trials and tribulations to get here, and I love what Minister Whitehead said about purpose, process, and promise, because I think that it all starts with God. That's your purpose. Once you have your relationship with God and you know who you are, your purpose gets so much easier, because it's really the purpose you're destined to do and be. Process, that's the best part, the journey. I don't know if the process ever stops, but the process can be all you want it to be if you're holding God's hand. And the promise, God promises us everything we want and then some if we hold his hand and walk through that process. So I'm here to say I have a testimony, too many to talk about right now. But like I said, I'm from Brooklyn. I fell in love with hip hop, and I'm a byproduct of hip hop. I came up in it in the very beginning, somewhat in the 80s. I started a little tailor shop in Brooklyn after I went to Brooklyn Tech, Bishop Loughlin, New Paltz. And after that, I started a tailor shop on a shoestring budget in Clinton Hill on Green and Grand, whoever knows that area. And that was called Fashion in Effect. I didn't have enough for a sign, so our sign was made out of foam board that we drew up on the wall. That was our first awning. But from that, through the grace of God, we picked up some great clients. Shinehead, Shaggy, Audio 2, And then I stumbled into entertainment, into sports side of fashion, and that grew into my first brand, which I am one of the pioneers of urban fashion, and that brand was called Walker Wear. And Walker Wear became a very big business. I sold to Macy's, I sold to Dayton's, I sold to Foot Action, Foot Lockers. I was one of the first urban brands to open those doors for other urban designers. So, you know, I'm saying the short version, but it was very hard being 20 years old in an all-male dominated business in hip hop at that time when people were saying this is a fad, it's gonna be over. And they're saying, why are your velour suits costing the same prices as Fila? You're not Fila, you're not an Italian brand. So the process is the process. And you just have to be the vessel and be a part of that process. So, you know, here we are today, fast forward. I've done a lot of amazing things on my journey, and it's all through the grace of God that I'm standing right here. And I'm here because one of the main reasons, I just relaunched Walker Wear, but I've done many things. I've had a pet shop in Fort Greene. I have a consulting business called A Walker Group. I work with a lot of interesting clients, and God has more on my journey. I'm here. One of the reasons I wanted to relaunch Walker Wear was because I feel like a big thing I say is bridging the gap between Generation X and Y. In hip hop, there's a conversation we're not connecting to me. You know, with pop culture, it's been great in some ways, and it's really disenfranchised our communities and others. And I think music and fashion are the biggest forms of the way we express ourselves. And I want to be a change for the positive. So fashion for me is a way to reach out to my community, to empower us, and to start that conversation. So thank you for having me.
Good evening, everyone. Sounds like we're going to have church. Let me do a church test. Praise the Lord, everybody. Okay, y'all go to church. God is good. See, you know what to say. I'm Pastor Pepper Martin. I'm associate pastor of Bethel in Copiague, New York. I served as the head of the women's department, Perfecting Faith Church, under Pastor Donnie McClurkin. Helped him start his church. I've known Donnie since I was 16, and I served with him prior to becoming an associate pastor for about 12 years. And I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I love saying that I'm from the BX. I went to St. John's University. I graduated high school at the age of 16 years of age from Our Savior Lutheran High School, and I entered St. John's University at 16. And I then continued to pursue my education. I got a bachelor's degree in business management, and I went to school with Run DMC and Mark Jackson and that whole crew during that era. And I continued on and got a master's degree. It changed my career from a financial planner, became an educator, spent a lot of time here right at 65 Court Street. Most of my educational career was with the New York City Department of Education. I started out as a 6th grade classroom teacher, worked my way up into administration. And 3 master's degrees later, I too am in the process of pursuing my doctorate degree. Why is that significant? Well, I told you that my name is Pepper. My full name is Pepperika. My grandmother convinced my mother to name me Pepperika because when she brought me home, I had freckles all over my body the size of red peppers. And my mother listened to her and changed my name from Chantrice to Pepperika. I went to school with a young lady named Janine Kelly, who was an executive producer at Channel 13, and she named one of the Blue's Clues characters, Pepperika, after me. And so every time I show up at a school with these younger children, they say, she does exist. And so I'm saying all of this to say, I came from, while God has blessed me to ascertain a tremendous amount of accomplishments in a short amount of time, but when I say those things, by no means am I bragging. I give God glory, honor, and praise because I too came from a single parent home. I grew up in the hood of the Bronx. I wasn't uptown, I was downtown. And I had faced and overcame the temptation of drugs, could have made money really, really easy and really, really fast. Most of my friends from that area are either dead or in prison. And so I'm grateful to God that I had a praying mother and who was determined not to allow our external circumstances and the fact that I did not have a dad in the home to determine her child's destiny. And she sacrificed everything and was relentless about putting God in me first and then telling me that education was my tool and to develop my mind. And so when Minister Whitehead was talking about your mind, the Bible says to let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Christ went to Calvary knowing his purpose. And though he gave up his life, he did it so that we can now have a right to the tree of life today. So the process is everybody has to go through a crucifixion in order to understand and experience a resurrection. You do not grow on the mountaintop, you grow in the valley. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And so I just want to say to you, the process for me was intense. Not only did God bless me and empower me through prayer and through education, through self-esteem building and a number of other things and people that I'm grateful to today, was I overcame the pain of sexual abuse. The one man that my mother trusted before she got to know God, and she swore she would never let anybody come in, but this one person tricked her. And he came in, they started, and they had a relationship, and he violated me for 2 years. I overcame the pain of being rejected by my dad. I overcame the pain of the degradation of growing up struggling with financial hardship. I overcame the pain of racism and gender bias. But I am here today, and I am proud to say that there is another side to going through. And if you trust God and put him first, truly I am a living epistle, as the rest of us have said. There is no weapon that is formed against you that shall be able to prosper. No weapon of bullying, no weapon of rape, molestation, verbal abuse, anything that comes against you, young women, young men, ladies and gentlemen, if God be for you, he's more than the whole world against you. And so I sit here today with my 7 wonderful colleagues, representing the number 8 in totality. 8 is the number of new beginnings. Yes, it is. And so on tonight, we are here collectively to symbolize with our individual stories, but to bring forth a corporate message of hope. As my dear sister Camille said, you got backup. We got backup in heaven, you have backup on the earth. And if we formulate our power of positivity together through God, there is nothing that we cannot overcome. God bless you.
Thank you for coming to our first annual Battered to Beautiful event. You guys got the flyers and everything. On the back, you saw my quote. My quote said that being battered doesn't actually mean just a man hitting a woman. It could just mean a number of things: verbal abuse, emotional abuse, self-abuse, which I am a victim of. I abused myself, not by hurting myself on the outside, but in the inside. I suppressed a lot of my feelings and always kept them in. So when I when I was faced with things and didn't know how to handle it, I just cried inside. I ate. I kept myself overweight, so I felt like I was beating myself up, you know? But now I want to make a change. And I want to make that change because I see a lot of these young ladies, they're not having the fun that we had when we grew up. They don't play double dutch anymore, you know? Even those little simple games like tag, you just don't see that. You just see them sitting around on their phones and just feeling they have a reserved look, like something's going on inside of them. And I can feel their passion because I know things were going on inside of me that I never talked about. And that could be from my family experiences, and they didn't do anything to me, but I felt that they did because I had that quote-unquote middle child syndrome. So with this being battered, it's a beautiful thing. I wanted to bring it to the light. And I know a lot of you girls out there, you guys feel battered. So we're going to start with that word battered. And then after we finish with battered, we're going to talk about how we are beautiful now. All right? So I don't know whether Ralph want to help me out with the audience, but we're going to start with anybody in the audience feeling battered.
Well, one of the things, Aurora, that I was thinking about, and some of the people have been mentioning, is what does battered mean to you? You know, what does that mean to you? Is it? And we've been talking about it a little bit, but I think there's some folks on the panel that may want to touch it, and then we'll go to the audience, and you guys come on up here and get involved because we want to really hear from you guys. So maybe we can start on this side and talk about what does battered mean to you?
Okay, again, my name is Pepper Martin. I would say that's an excellent question because while we do constantly get the scientific definition, what Aurora is alluding to, there are various ways that we can be battered. I am the author of a book entitled I'm Married, but I Feel Like I'm Single. The 5 Steps to Successfully Navigating Through a Painful Divorce. And as a result of my emotionally battering and financially battering situation with my ex-husband, what it meant to me was going through the process that you discussed, Tashira, and basically not understanding that I was in the process at the time for a greater purpose than I realized. But I indeed was emotionally battered, and I was battered by a person that you would not suspect would be a batterer. So what it means to me is when you start to feel like a victim, and you are victimized constantly all day, no matter what you do, and you're constantly taking ownership of what somebody else inflicts upon you, that is a form of being battered. And I discuss some clear-cut concepts in my book on how to get out. And so my book is a personal account of how my relationship with my ex-husband went from total bliss to the abyss. And I felt like the rug was snatched. And I was married for almost 20 years, but 10 of those years I lived like a single woman. No intimacy, no nothing. But both of us were ordained ministers at a church. And we were ministering to other people, but yet we were living in 2 separate houses. Not intending to live a life of hypocrisy, but in trying to keep the church smile on, we ended up falling in that unintentionally. And so, not a bad man, but became a bad spouse. And I wasn't able to actually wrap my mind around it until I got out. And so it talks about the things that I needed, that I did do, and God used my pain to now turn it into purpose, and I put it in this book. And now I'm remarried to a wonderful man, and so it also discusses, through faith, there is hope. And so that's what it means to me, and as a result of that, I now know, I learned that women are intended for excellence, and so I'm now the CEO of my own organization called WIFE, which is an acronym that stands for Women Intended for Excellence. And so the battering to me was my personal story that birthed out great things, and now I'm here to share it with you.
So I have somebody in the audience, Akita. Akita has something to say.
Thank you, ladies. I just want to share quickly that 6 years ago, I moved back to New York City because I was born and raised in New York City. I lived in another town for like 16 years. When I moved back to New York City, I was really feeling depressed. I put myself into a shelter, not coming from a recovery program, not coming from prison, not coming from, I just quit my job working.
We can't really hear you.
I quit my job working like a very long time and left from out of town that I used to live in for 16 years. And I returned back to New York City 6 years ago, put myself in a shelter because I was so depressed. I didn't want to turn to family, friends. I just felt low. I met my husband now, that's 6 years. He just returned home from prison 6 years ago when I had put myself in a shelter. We were both in a welfare department together. I had to say that. I had to say that because no one knew. My husband, he's a wonderful guy, a wonderful man, but I feel like I picked him because of the circumstances I was in, and now we're a lot better than we were 6 years ago. But the life he walked, I didn't walk it. Although I grew up and was raised in Brooklyn, New York, I went away to college. I have an associate's and a bachelor's degree. I just was lost living in another town for 16 years because I grew up sheltered, and I didn't know who I was because I was so controlled by my mother, and I was like, I'm still speechless. I'm still unable to explain. And I just wanted to share this because I had wrote information to Ralph McDaniel, a letter letting him know that I wanted to express myself because I still feel at 45 years old, I'm still with an associate degree and a bachelor's degree and worked for over 16 years. I am still lost at 45 years old.
And that's why you're going to be part of Battered to Beautiful because you still have things inside of you that you want out. So you're going to come on over to us at Battered to Beautiful, and we're going to show you that it's time to get all that out.
Yes.
Because I'm getting mine out, and you're going to be right with me.
Thank you.
We just want to get it all out.
Thank you. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Uncle Ralph.
I just want to echo the sentiments that are here today because I don't know what you all are getting out of today, but just hearing the testimonies and the stories today, I'm fully inspired in the sense of today really reminds me of how important it is for us to gather as women to talk, to be open, to get it out, and to share our experiences. And there's so many things, so many gems that were dropped today, particularly in areas of challenge. Because what I want to say here, too, is that when I look in the audience, when I look on this panel, and I look at everyone speaking, everyone here is exceptionally beautiful. Like, you all look really great. But I think a lot of that, in some ways, the better we look, it seems the more we're masking and the more that we may be trying to hide. Because when you spoke, and I'm so sorry, your name is Miss Simmons?
Yes.
Yes, when Miss Simmons spoke about, it just hit me when she spoke about, we came out of the hip hop industry with my full mind intact. That really hit me because now I'm in the political world, and they might be sisters. The music industry and the political world might be twin cousins or sisters, because every day you go into it, it's like you have stepped, I apologize for making it not seem so glamorous and it not being the career choice of, but it's like stepping into a hell of sorts. So you kind of have to protect yourself because the knives and the swords and the guns and the uppercuts, they're coming in as soon as you come in the door, as soon as you leave, as soon as you walk out. So it's one of those things about how important it is to still, in all of us, to preserve the sanity of our mind and to make sure that our minds are healthy and that we do all that we can to nurture our minds. One of the things, I used to keep a journal prior to getting involved in this, might write in it maybe twice a month. I write in it like twice a day now. I gotta just get my thoughts out and my mind out. I've gotta write, I've gotta create, I've gotta listen to music. I've gotta call friends that I know will make me just laugh. I gotta go out, I gotta do things. So, you know, I just wanna encourage you so much so, particularly all of us, that the television shows we watch, the music that we watch or listen to, the people that we surround ourselves, we think that that's not programming our minds, but it is absolutely programming our minds. It programs our relationships. It controls and dominates in many ways what we define as intimacy. So when we're thinking about relationships, and I would say when Reverend Whitehead spoke about that woman who throws herself into work, that's me all day long. So I'm an amen on that one. The relationship thing, I haven't quite gotten that together ever, but I think I'm more so waiting for the right situation to come along. I'm almost 40 now, but I'm just gonna keep holding out until I meet that right man, and the right situation and the right circumstance. And I'm just gonna continue to live my life. And I would encourage all of you, we have to continue to bring back family values. We have to continue to talk about marriage again and relationships and anniversaries, because I'm gonna tell you, we've all made different decisions, and I too potentially could have been a single mother 3 years ago. I lost a child, was not married at that time, but it's one of those things that on this side of being in the city council, I know it's not the most attractive thing to talk about, but there's a whole industry of people that come into my office all day long that do not look like you and me, that are seeking money and creating an industry for single moms that are battered, single moms that are on welfare, single moms that are in housing, single moms that need this, single moms that just got out of prison, single moms with HIV, single moms with is one of these things where in our community, there are people on the outside that have created an industry around the destruction in our households and in our homes. So we are where we are here today, but I would say that we have to work very hard at bringing back our family structure, bringing back our relationships, bringing back intimacy, bringing back love, bringing back nurturing, because that is so important and it is so missing. And it's not something that we can't continue to think is a taboo topic when two people are together and we talk about, are you thinking about marriage? Or you're having a child? No one wants to talk about, do you think you all are ever going to get married, because it's too sensitive of an issue. It's something that we have to bring back in a very profound way. And that's not only on our role. We're going to have a men's conference where, as we as women, we're going to have to talk to the brothers about getting back into that. And I'll just close with this. And talking about battered, I would say that the women on this panel and the audience have spoken about it, but battered can be just that someone doesn't even want to acknowledge you, doesn't want to be seen in public with you, doesn't want to take a picture with you, doesn't want others to even know that he knows you. He wants to keep you in seclusion, doesn't want the relationship to be known in that way. And that starts to create a system of rejection in yourself. What's wrong with me that you don't want to be seen with me? I think I'm X, Y, and Z, but you don't obviously think so. So it's all those sorts of things that can start to create that mental breakdown. And, you know, just to be honest, I've experienced that. I'm Mrs. City Councilwoman, Mrs. Spelman grad, and you don't want to be seen with me? What's going on with you? But it's one of those things that can happen. It can happen to you, too. So, you know, just talking about that and getting it out there, we all experience different levels of battered. Someone didn't put their hands on me, but to deny that you even know me is also a form of batteredness as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
I'm going to piggyback off of something that Lori just said. She said the word entertainment. You have something to say? But what I was getting ready to say is I want to piggyback off of something Lori said, and then you actually did it, was saying that word entertainment. And the videos and everything, they're just taking our kids too. They're just putting anything and everything on the video. So I got a question for Amita. Since she said, you know, she's been in the industry for a while and everything like that. What could you tell these young girls to make them feel like I don't need a rapper. I don't need to see this on television. But I'm just going to be who I want to be. Even though I like it, I'm not going to make that my life. So what could you tell them to help them out?
I mean, pretty much what everyone has said on this panel is you have to get to a point where you know yourself. Again, I've been in this music industry over 20 years. I started out as a backup dancer on tour. I've probably been to every country in the world dancing. I've met all types of people. And I've been around the drugs. I've been around the sex. I've pretty much lived a rock and roll life. There's, you know, I was young, beautiful. There's no man I couldn't have. There was no outfit I couldn't get, no shoe I couldn't get, no place I couldn't be, no job I couldn't have. But the one thing that my mother and father instilled in me was values and morals. And so while I was on tour with 4 other girls who were doing whatever it took to get to where they needed to go, I always had my mother and father on my shoulders telling me, don't you go with them girls. And I got called all kind of names. Grandmother, you're so whack, you're so this, and you're so that. But one thing I've always been, and I teach my daughter, is I've always been a leader. And I'm never scared to be alone. So I had to really, really learn to listen. And a lot of, this takes away from nobody, but I talk to a lot of girls, and I know that everybody here talks to young ladies, but the one thing I had to do with young ladies, and I know it's a lot of different ages in here, but I tend to like to talk to my young girls alone without the older ladies and everybody else, because I need them to talk to me. I need to listen. I don't like to do all the talking. I want to listen to what they have going on. And I need to hear, because I know, because I've been through it, so I know how to decipher what they're saying to me, because they think that what they're doing, no one's ever done before. And we've all been down the same exact road, going to the same hooky parties, cutting school, worried about what we wearing, the same Jordans you got on, I had them on in high school. Like, everything in life just goes around in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. And I just want to be able to listen to my young girls and tell you that it's about being your own person. Because at the end of the day, you only gonna have yourself to deal with. And to, like, your mom, your dad, your girlfriends, everybody else, they think that they wanna be in your shoes. Like, they see you living a certain kind of way. You know, I may have been married to a boxer, and he may have had a lot of money, and we had a big house, and you're jealous of me, and you're jealous of me, and I'm on tour, and I'm around this person, and I'm around that person, and you're busy over there being jealous, and you don't know the hell that I'm going through. And you want to be in my shoes so bad instead of creating your own shoe. And I always said, to be in this music industry so long, for 20 years, and still say that I'm in the music industry, I've never went all the way up, but I've never came all the way down. And I had to learn that coasting was my blessing. I kept saying, why is she going higher? And why did she get that job? Because she slept for it, because she did this something for it. And I kept saying, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do wrong? Well, maybe I need to do something different. And I had to realize that my blessing was being where I was at. Because I've been able for 20 years to stay where I'm at. While there are people who have done it all, and they're nowhere to be found right now. So again, it goes back to knowing yourself, being yourself, identifying with yourself. I work with athletes right now, and I just want to say this real quick. I work with a lot of athletes, and my new passion is not talking to them. It's talking to their girlfriends and their baby mothers and their wives, because those girls have no idea what they get in themselves into. And everybody sits around and wants to give advice to the athlete, and no one ever gives advice to the woman on how to live through this. And I know I know the pain, I know everything of going through what it meant to be somebody's wife that everybody loved. And the minute that you say anything negative or anything bad or made it even seem like anything wrong was done to you, you were the person on the outskirts. And I've had many conversations with Tashira, because we talk to each other and we listen to each other and we try to be each other's, you know what I'm saying? Because we've all been through this. And it's just like you're persecuted for having a feeling or an emotion or thinking that the person in the limelight is wrong. And just know there's always somebody who's been through what you are going through. And I'm always here if anybody wants to talk.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kuzi, and the question, I think I could piggyback off of everyone, but he asked me what battered mean, and to me, it means broken. Like, I feel like it happened to me recently where I felt like I'm doing everything, like I write poetry, I'm a poet, I write poetry for this blog. I gotta go to grad school because both of my parents went to grad school. And then I gotta go higher than grad school because my brother's in law school. Then I gotta do this in church because this is what everybody wanna do. And if I miss something in church, oh my gosh, she ain't in church. Then I'm losing weight. I got this weight loss blog. I have to keep on losing weight because you looking at me for inspiration. How am I inspiration? Now I'm gaining weight. And it's like when you get time to think, it's like all you are is a big mirror. And everybody's looking at you and they see you, but when they don't see you, they see themselves because that's what you want. You're not doing it. So it's like the purpose, and also what she said, also putting God first. Because when you put God first, everything falls into place. So although you may think, and that's when I realized when I put God first, well, people are coming in and out of my life, where I said, no, that's God taking them out your life because something greater is going to come in. So that's where when I say it's battered, it's like broken. And sometimes you have to get to your lowest point. You have to be that shattered glass so God could come and be the broom and the glue and just glue you together. But you have to understand self. And you have to know whether it's you or it's God. Because sometimes it be us who doing wrong and we're like, oh my God, no, it's you. So you can't like have one foot in God and have one foot in the world. And also what she said, because I'm writing for a hip hop website and I'm writing for 2 blogs. And it's like, well, how do you keep self? And everybody's over here, well, you can't put God in your thing. You got to be talking about B words and this, that, and the other. And then I felt like I was losing my love for poetry because I'm writing for the validation of y'all, and that's not why I started. So I had to go back and take myself out of that and find myself and know that, yeah, you're broken, but you'll soon be healed. So that's my thing.
I believe, from what everybody says here, the audience and the panel, that fundamentally, basically, we have to, and we can do it because we're women and we're the foundation. We have to rebuild our families. Does anybody here remember hearing the expression, because there were many expressions passed down to us when we were young, and at my age, I just forgot what I was going to say, the expression that I was going to say, so I'm going to say it again. There are lots of things that were told to us, wisdom sayings, that are not passed down now because we got the little machine and we're tapping on it. Technology has interfered with our relationships, and so we have to put technology in its right place, okay? And then come back to one another, talking to one another. There was something in my family, because there were 8 children, and I was number 7, and I had 3 sisters, and there was something in our family called hand-me-downs. Anybody here know about hand-me-downs? Uh-huh. Well, we got hand-me-down love, and that's what saved us. But we also got hand-me-down pain. And I'm saying that a lot of what we experience it's because those who raised us, or those who are older than we had, that was their hand-me-down. They received the pain, and they're passing it down to us. So we have to stop that transmission of pain. Think about that in your family. As I said, I had to think about it with my father because of the great pain that he carried, and he gave it out to us. But I could not hate him because I knew where that came from. And I knew that we could stop it if we really were conscious of where it was coming from. So in our relationships, don't devil the person who is angry. Find out why they're angry. You keep yourself safe from them, But you find out why they're angry. People said battering. I know battering. Battering is serious. Battering is upside the head. You know what I'm talking about? Battering is knock you on the floor. Battering is backhanding you. Battering is getting a stick and whipping you. Battering is getting a belt and whipping you. That slap to the face real quick. My brother was telling me the other day, Daddy had fast hands. Be sitting at the table, he said, pow. That's it. And what? And sometimes, you know, you didn't understand what it was about because you were a child. And you were just asking questions. And so listening to our young people in their difference, because they're children. And I've heard women come down the street and cursing at the kids. But do this, call them all kinds of names. I said, that's just a baby. They're being a baby. Let them be there. Give them that respect. Because it goes too soon. Oh, that expression I was thinking of. A hard head makes a soft behind. You heard that? You heard that? Okay. Then there's another one that says, every goodbye ain't gone. The blues singers sang that like. And every closed eye ain't sleep. What do those things say to us? Don't let your mouth write no checks that you behind can't cash. Shut up. Think about what you're going to say. But we have to pass this down to our young people as proverbs, as wisdom teaching. And the older people have to do it. The younger people haven't been there. And so that is part of the rebuilding of our families. You, sisters, don't see yourself properly reflected in the media. Here and there we see something. This African sister who came out, she won an Academy Award, I think, or whatever, and she had a fro. Do you know we ran from that fro for years? And finally, that's why I wrote the book Cornrows. When we wrote the book Cornrows, there was a singer named Miriam Makeba, who's Zulu, who came over here singing, and we said, Zulu, what the, ooh, Zulu, Africa. I was working for Jazzmobile, and the kids said, I ain't no African. Looking just as African as they could look. I ain't no African. Because we've been turned against that part of us. Let us embrace it. We did that in the 60s and 70s, and then the media was used to spin that all around. And whereas we used to say, yes, I'm black and I'm proud, you hardly hear anybody say that nowadays. They have a film by Nina Simone, and the sister who's playing her is light-skinned. Nina Simone, her blackness was part of her power. You understand? Let us embrace ourselves again. Embrace our color, embrace our hair, embrace our history. You women are the mothers of humanity, of humankind. All others came from us. You understand? So when you know that you're going to walk differently, you're going to talk different, ain't nobody going to call you the B word. We will not call each other the N-word when we know our history, and that's why in the schools so much of our history has been quieted and taken out. Because for some reason they make a lot of money off of us, but they don't want to see us stand up. Right. They don't want to see us, yes, we created these things. Yes, the center of intellect came from Kemet, came from ancient Nubia, came from those places. And you're using it right now in your medicine and in your science. But you mothers, as we did, I've been here long enough to experience coming through the 50s and the 60s, and when we started wearing dashikis and walking in the street, and it was a new world. And we came to an appreciation of that. Let's do it again. That's what Harriet Tubman said. After she had delivered thousands of Africans out of enslavement, they asked her, Harriet, what are you going to do now? And she said, I'm going to do it again. Well, we have to do it again, mothers, mothers of humanity. When they celebrated Mother's Day a couple of weeks ago, I said, yes, I celebrate all of our mothers, but I celebrate Mother Africa because all of humankind came from Mother Africa. Celebrate that, and you heal yourself. You understand? That is a healing. God gave it to us. God created us on that continent, created humanity on that continent. Can we respect God? He said, you did a good thing. You know, you created us. Let's accept it. Everybody else has taken our story. Everybody else has taken our history, and we backing up. I hear him on The View say something about, but, and give all kind of excuses. No, no, people. We don't, well, I won't say that. I'll just say that love yourself. You, if it weren't for black women, we would not be here. Because they've dogged our men, they've murdered our men, us too. They've done all those things, and our women have stayed together and kept our families together and paid rent when there was no other money and supported our children when they were not supported. So walk together like an army, women. We need you again. Thank you.
So when I think about battered women, I think about value. I'm going to do something real quick. Does anybody have a crisp dollar bill? I'll give it right back. Or it doesn't have to be too crisp. I love to do this in my private practice. Okay. So I want you to take a look at this dollar bill. It's crisp, right? I wish I had $20. I'm sorry for what I'm about to do to this dollar bill. So $20 bill, I'll do it right now. It's here in the dollar bill. So my question to you is, does it still have its value? I stomped on it, I ripped it up, crumpled it, but it still has its value. So that's for us. We could be beaten. Sometimes we go through such bad things in life. Battered, crumpled, broken, but you still have your value. Just like this dollar. And I want you to keep that with you. So no matter what, beaten, crumpled, stomped on, you still have your worth. You still have your value. But the thing is, if you don't know it, nobody knows what it is. So it starts with you. I'm sorry about this dollar bill.
Can I have my dollar bill back?
And Vladimir. Vladimir.
Still have your value. Raped, beaten, broken, talked down to, you were told you were never going to be anything. That's right. You still have your value.
Vla- Now, what Vladimir just did, and I'm glad she did that, she crumbled up the dollar and everything and showed us that you still had that value, but nobody can, or anyone that I know can express that more than Shakara, because Shakara was beaten, okay? But Shakara has her value, as you can see. She brought it alive, you know, even though they tried to kill her. So with me saying that, I want Shakara to tell you how you could be beaten, you can fall down and everything, but you can get back up, because that's exactly what Shakara did.
I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna do that. But I just wanted to quickly say that I was listening to what's her name? What's your name? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Nana. Nana Camille.
I'm sorry.
Nana Camille.
Miss Nana Camille. The one thing that I would definitely say, I'm 21 years old. I'm still young. One thing that I can definitely say is that as a younger generation, we don't respect. Not only do we not respect ourselves, but we don't respect wisdom. That is wisdom. The older generation is wisdom. They know more than we know, and we think that we know everything. I know growing up, I thought I knew everything. I thought my grandmother, she's here today, I thought she was just going on and on and on and on, and even still to this day. But I take the time to acknowledge the things that she says, and anyone that is older than me. As a younger generation, our role models are, we have the Rihanna, we have the Chris Brown. We turn to those people as role model figures, and they're not doing anything but exposing us to negativity, even though we may listen to their music and we may enjoy it. A lot of it is negative. I'm not sure who's the artist, or maybe someone can tell me. They say something like tat my name so I know, so that you know it's real. That's Drake. Okay. Well, you have a lot of people. I know I'm on Facebook like all the time, and I see people with names tattooed on them, and they say tattoo it so that you know it's real. What worth is that? What are you saying for yourself? Even me. What am I saying for myself? Tattooing someone's name on my body for what? Going back to what Ms. Aurora said, yes, I was brutally assaulted by 15 girls in high school. I know what it is, not only through that situation, to be battered. I battered myself. While I listened to some of the things that my peers have said to me about my gap in my tooth, about me being fat, different things, and mainly about my religion. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I love God. I serve God, and I know who He is to me. I've always been bullied about being a Christian. Looking back at the April 1st event, incident, I was thinking about it last week, and I remember all I could do was just stand there. I just stood there. I didn't fight back, and she said, the main defendant said to me, now, as she was just hitting me with a padlock and a sock, just continuously hitting me, and I stood there, and she said, now, hallelujah to that B word. So I sat down last week, and I had to reevaluate the situation in its entirety. And even with me being able to sit here right now and talk to you all, having the opportunities that I've had, being able to grace certain stages as I have, talking to so many important people that are important, hallelujah to that. And that is what I definitely say. I thank God for being present in my life. He's very evident in my life. I thank God for who He is. And while I've had many situations, I've had to take care of I've been taking care of my niece. I have no children of my own. I've been taking care of my niece since I was 16. I know what it is to, while I had a job, I know what it is at 17 to have to go to welfare to ask them for help because I had a part-time job, and then I had to depend on the welfare system to help me, to put her in school because the environment that she came from where my sister wasn't doing what she was supposed to do. She knew about sex. She knew about all these different things that she should not know about at 4 years old. And I said, okay, I know the things that my mother has instilled within me. I know who I serve. I know that there is a God, and I know that He's capable of everything that I know He's capable of doing for her. So then that's when I made the conscious decision to take on the responsibility of caring for her because I know that she has purpose. And I know that even though at a young age she has experienced some pain, I know my sister, as you said, it's passed on. It's passed on. So I know the struggles of having to depend on the welfare system to take care of a child that's not my own. And then going through my own struggles with my father not being present in my life. That was something that I still struggle with to this day. He has definitely, I can definitely say that He has damaged my life in so many ways, and it caused me to turn to, for better words, I would say, looking for love in all the wrong places. And I turned to boys. Guys would tell me everything. You're cute, you're sexy, you're this, you're that, you're this and that, and I would listen to it. And then, and I look at, my friends who have both of their parents in their homes, and it's sad to me. You know, I used to become very sad, very depressed, and say, why can't I have that? And I think it's for fathers that are here, I think that it is so important, especially at a young age, for you to be present in your child's life, because you can alter their life in so many ways just by not being present. And you think that it's cute, you're saying that you're gonna go away, you're gonna do this and that. No, be present. Stand up, be a man, and be present in your child's life, because it definitely takes a toll on the female and also males. But I'm speaking for the females and speaking from myself, that it takes a toll on us. And I just encourage you, women, be strong. For people because I can say that I'm taking care of a child that is not my own, but it's something that I want to do and instill all of the values and all of the worth that I know in her.
Thank you.
Well, Shakara, I don't know the reasons why those guys told you you were pretty and sexy and everything. I don't know the reasons why they tell you that, but I know the reasons why. I'm going to tell you that now. You are pretty. You are sexy. So whatever reasons they had, that's on their own reasons, but I'm telling you because you are. Okay? And I want to touch on something else that Tashira said. Tashira said you didn't have the opportunity to get the education or whatever that you wanted. Okay? I'm here with you with that, with you saying you didn't have the opportunity, but then again, I'm going to say I did have the opportunity, but I was a hard-headed child, you know. My mother wanted me to she wanted me to go and be everything I can be, but I chose to get my education from the School of Hard Knocks, you know. And with that being said, it ended up working for me, but I don't want that for these young girls. I want them to do it the right way. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Battered to Beautiful is about. It's about when I was battered or felt like I was battering myself, I wanted to be beautiful, so I taught myself. You know, I read the dictionary myself. I did everything myself. I got on a computer and I did what I had to do for myself. So no, I didn't do what these intelligent ladies did, go and get their PhDs or their degrees or whatever, but I have it, okay? And with that being said, there's a young lady here that I just want to, before I ask the young girls what they feel, I want Stacy to just speak a little bit about what she went through and what she did, because I was here with her too. I knew this girl since I was 11 years old. And she's just she's just somebody I want to speak right now. How about that? It's okay.
Thank you, Aurora. I just want to thank the minister for speaking, because you spoke about me in a panel. I really never had the opportunity to speak with Black women. I'm 48 years old. I just worked for New York City. I worked for the commissioner of HRA for 19 years. I'm a recovering alcoholic, drug abuser. I'm a baby of 5. My oldest brother died when I was 16. My mother died when I was 29. My father died. Then my other brother passed away. Then my husband passed away. And I recently just lost my sister, my best friend. My sister Linda, she was a New York City school teacher. I was born and raised, Putnam Avenue. I had the Malcolm X and the Martin Luther King. I went to church, Girl Scouts. I ran track. I played basketball. I played softball. I was in rehab. I stayed clean for 14 years. And I don't know what brought me back, but the minister right here, when he was speaking, he was talking about me. He was talking about purpose, promise, process. Right now, I am literally dying inside, and I know it, and I need help. So I just want to thank Aurora for stopping me last night in the midst of my disease. And she said, Stacy, you coming? I said, I'm going to be there. She said, be there at 4. I woke up at 4 o'clock. I got here at 5:15, and it just started. And I said, thank you, Jesus. And I've been here ever since. And I'd like to, thank everyone for even just taking time to listen to me talk.
We could be here all night because they're lining up in the back to tell their testimonies.
I'm going to make
We got
it
a lot
quick.
to get out, don't we?
I'm going to make it quick. I'm Flo. I grew up with Aurora in Brooklyn. I live in Richmond, Virginia now, and I do have many stories, but I got to sum it up real quick. I moved down to Virginia in 1990 and decided to give myself a better life, had a 2-year-old daughter. Long story short, I met someone, got married, and it hit me one time. And I was in deep shock because I did go down to Virginia with an attitude like, you're not gonna mess with me because I'm from New York. But he had his own issues. But just to sum it up, I wanna say that I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor. And when you're going through situations, you have to look up to God. And I'm gonna, this is what I put on Facebook, and I'm gonna say it quick. Giving thanks to God, I have so much to be thankful for. I learned to be thankful in the midst of a storm. That's because I learned how to see sunshine in the midst of a storm. I trusted God when I couldn't see a way out. To those of you that may be going through, just know that there's always a solution. Don't allow adversities that may come your way to deter you from your focus. God is in the forefront fighting your battles. Hold your head up high. Know that you are an overcomer. I know it can be difficult at times, maybe dealing with the loss of a family member, job, home, or finance, to name a few. There are too many resources around here. You have communities, you have ministers, you have churches. But if one door closes, knock on the next one. Don't stop. Keep going. Failure is not an option. God gives his hardest battles to you, his strongest soldier, because you can and you will prevail. God bless you, and thank you, Aurora.
I thought Florence was going to tell all my business for a minute there.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tyra, and I just want to speak a little bit about being battered by a system. I was placed in the single women's shelter when I was diagnosed with lupus, and I was there for 15 months. And I just want to say, if any of you ladies on the panel, thank you, by the way, but if you're passing by Green and Broadway, stop and encourage some of the young ladies inside of there because they need it. We have nowhere to turn to, no real advocacy that works for us, and it's very disheartening. Thank you.
Wow.
I just wanted to thank everyone on the panel and everyone for just being transparent tonight, because I notice when you talk to people, you mentor them and you give them a piece of you. You know, my sister, she has her doctorate, but she reaches more people when she tells them she had her first child at 15. Because people don't want to hear, you know, all the success stories sometimes. They need to know that you know what it's like to be dirty, and God could pick you up and you can come up. So I want to say thank you for being transparent. It's not always easy. I also would like to say I work in the school system, and this is like church. It's like you preaching to the choir, because it seems like everybody here, even though we've had our struggles, basically has their head on straight or trying to get it straight or know they need to get it straight. But we have to sometimes, I know it's difficult because sometimes we walk past people and it's so sad the state that some of our children are in. And I thank God for the ability not to walk by and turn my head and say, oh, we weren't raised like that, we did it. I think this panel is wonderful and I bless all of you, but I think individually, when we go out, we're on a train, we're on a bus, we're at the gas station, and we see these kids do things that's disgraceful, don't just turn your head, because half the time, working in the school system, when the parent comes up, I'm shocked. And I take them to the side and I say, privately, I tell the mother what their child is doing. But if we just continue to walk by and we'll be like, well, my child is fine. My child doesn't talk like that. You will be surprised to know what your children is doing in these schools. So I just want to say, as they say, each one teach one, I thank you. I could touch on everybody's story. I've had a piece of it. I'm writing a book. Hopefully it'll be out. But I want to thank God for everything that was said tonight. I brought my daughter, and when the person invited me, she said, Battered. I'm like, what she know about my life? But I just want to thank God. It was a blessing, and I thank all of you for coming out. Thank you so much.
Aurora, I have a question. Sometimes, like probably tonight, I'll go home and my daughter is watching, what is it called? Love Basketball and Love and Hip Hop and Divas and all of these shows, and they always fighting on there. So what does that mean? What does that mean to our young ladies? What is it? Allison, is it always like that in the studio? Let's see. Can we, because Allison this is the #1 diva to me, right here, Allison Williams. And I watch these shows and I'm like, it just can't be right.
It's never like that. If I had 6 female friends and we've had a fight every day, or every day we went to lunch and then we cussed each other out, I'd find 5 other friends. Reality TV is not based in reality. It is based in ratings, and most of it is scripted. Think about it. I'm sorry, my ears are ringing. I must have got up too quick. Whoa. If you watch a cooking show and they say, today we're making lasagna, at the end of the hour, they've made a lasagna. If you watch a house flip show, we're going to redecorate a room or flip a house or demolish it and rebuild it, at the end of the hour, they built a new house or took down, painted, and put up new drapes and made a new place. A new place. You cannot be on a show where you are a singer and argue every day about how you're not going on the road. Because you know what you'll do? Not go on the road. But when American Idol finishes, those kids go on the road. Halfway through American Idol, you don't even care if you win anymore, because millions of people have seen you for at least 4 weeks in a row, and you're going on tour at the end of it. So you can parlay that into something else. Same thing with The Voice. But when we get together with these shows that are predominantly filled with African Americans, we fight. We go to write a check. Okay, I'm a celebrity, and I'm coming to. I'll take this. If I was on a reality show, and I was on R&B Divas last week, but I'm not part of the cast, but because I know some of y'all go home and say, she said, if I were invited to come to Battered to Beautiful and say something positive, and I was on reality TV, what would have happened was I would have come with some of the other women that are, I guess I'm supposed to be involved with, and before I could get up to say my speech, I'd have left because I'd have been mad because she wore the wrong dress. That's the kind of madness they deal with. Or I'm going to the Girl Scouts, maybe I'm going to write a check, to do a donation. Before we can even write the check, somebody's mad at somebody. It's not real life. And it sends a horrible, horrible message, because we're not supposed to tear each other down. We should be in the business of building each other up. So that's what I want to say. My name is Allison Williams. I'm a recording artist, the first female artist signed to Def Jam, and I'm pleased to be here. I was supposed to sit on the panel too after April left, but I was too lazy to walk up the stairs. I had a real good time yesterday on Memorial Day, and I'm still feeling it. Ooh, but it was fun. We sang, we danced, we praised. I did a cartwheel. I don't know. It was great. It was great. So, you have anything else, Ralph?
No, I'm going to have one.
Ralph, real quick, I wanted to touch on what you just said. Just so a lot of people don't know the behind the scenes to everything that goes on. It's reality TV is made to manipulate not just the minds of the people watching it, but also the minds of the characters that's in the show. And I was on a show a reality show called Starter Wives with Tashera, and I had never met Tashera. And my part came on, and the producers came to me and told me a whole bunch of things that possibly Tashera and all the other girls may have done or said, and we've never met. Right. And so what happens is what you're seeing is kind of real, but it was manipulated. So what happens is, if you're a husband and a wife, they'll tell the wife the husband did something. If you're friends, they'll tell you a friend. And if you're not strong enough and you're in the moment, you're always going to believe what's in front of you, because at the end of the day, there's a check involved. So you take it, and you don't want to be embarrassed on TV or embarrassed to the world, because one of the things that we don't deal with is being able to be weak, and sometimes weak is being strong. So we never want to look weak, so we take it and magnify it to the 20th power. Nene Leaks, I mean, I don't know her, but she looks like a very strong black woman. And if you come and you say something to her that somebody did, normally the personality of that type of person, this is why they pay her the money, because they know what her reaction would be already. So I've had 8 sit-downs with 8 different producers to do Boxer's Wives. And a boxer's wife is different from a basketball wife and a football wife, because we don't live that type of life. You know what I'm saying? We are dealing with men that are crazy from birth. No, they really are. And it takes a strong woman to be married to a boxer and his family. And we went to 8 different producers, and all the producers were like, you guys are kind of boring, because no one's willing to fight. We want to talk about, we want to have battered women on the show. We want to do positive things. We want to take it to the next level. And they're like, I think we'll pass on that.
Yep.
I can definitely agree with what you said, because Tashira and I, we know each other because I was invited to be a guest therapist on TLC, Starter Wives. And I can honestly say I was shocked, because we filmed, and the parts that were cut were the ones in terms of the fighting. And I had an opportunity to sit with these women, and these were some awesome women, can I tell you? Yeah. Tashira, also Monica. It's the portrayal of us as black women. It's really, really disheartening. But I think that it's our responsibility. Our responsibility as parents to teach our kids that this is reality. This is only reality. It's not based on any truth. And again, I was able to see that when I had an opportunity to sit with Tashira and the other cast members. And what was presented and what was shown on television was completely different. I was in shock, because we had such a great session. I had such a great session with the ladies, and what they edited all the great parts. Yep. They edited all the great parts, all of them revealing their hardship and how strong they were. All of that stuff was edited. And they cut it to the parts where...
To all the negativity.
All the negativity. All the negativity.
The ratchetness, the little bit of ratchetness was stretched out.
Right. Hang on a second. Right. You know, speaking about what you just said about reality and the fighting and everything, it's not always like that, no. Tashira, Shanae and I sat in a restaurant for hours. We didn't fight. We didn't throw glasses. We didn't scratch each other's eyes. We did just real talk. And it was good. And that's another reason why we're here today, just to let you know it's not always like that. Sisterhood is good, you know.
Yes, it is.
And we can't sit here all night, but everybody's gonna have my number. You all give me a call, because I got some stuff to tell you, okay? But I'm gonna, she wants to.
We're running out of time, so unfortunately, we're gonna let the young sister, you have something to say?
She said it's gonna be really quick.
All right, so if I can get in a couple more over here, and before we get out of here, just to get the statements out there and get the words out, because they've been standing here for a little while. Within 30 seconds? All right.
Okay, my name is Jada. I'm 17 years old, and I'm a senior in high school. And my definition of battered is not being beaten on, it's giving in. So I have a lot of friends, and sometimes they don't try to hurt you, but they try to hold you to a certain level. So I went into high school, and people looked at me from the way I carried myself. They thought that I came from a better place than where they came from the area I live in. I live in East New York, and it's right near Howard Beach, so people automatically say, oh, you live in Howard Beach. And sometimes as a high school student, you just give in, and I started to give in until last year. I started letting people know that sometimes when you look at people and try to give them a title, it is not good for them and it is not good for you because it makes you feel like you need to meet someone else's expectations. And I learned that that's not a good thing. It hurts you, it brings you down, even though to other people it looks like you're putting yourself up there and it's making yourself look great. I'm going off to college now and I'm gonna be majoring in mass communications because I want everyone to know that I am not from a better place than where they're from. I am from where you're from. I'm from a family, a single parent family. I'm from hardships and hard times. And sometimes you have to expose that. So that's all I have to say.
Good evening. My name is Rosalind McIntosh, and my organization is Sisters Building Sisters in Brooklyn. And I was invited here by Aurora. And this is an awesome and powerful event. And I just want you to know that you're here, not by happenstance, but by purpose. And take these jewels, because all this that's being said and done today is jewels. Meditate on it, focus on it. But I also want to say, just to remember, each day that you get up and you wake up, God has a purpose and a plan for your life. My mother had 7 children. I'm the 7th child. I did not get to see my mother. I did not know my mother. My mother died at 26 years old. She started having her children at 15 years old. She had her first child, and she had her last child, which is me, at 26 years old. And she left 7 children behind. Why? Because not enough people were standing up and saying domestic violence, verbal violence, and all that is abuse, any form or fashion that it comes in. And I just want to say to you little girls, and I want to say to you mature women, if you see someone being verbally abused or physically abused, say something. Even if you can't say something at that moment because you know it could put the other person in more jeopardy, say something. If you got to sit down and get on your phone and text and do something, you don't always got to stand up and be in front of a crowd or something to say. You know, to get your point across, to get somebody, you know, taken out of a terrible situation. And sometimes it's not always terrible. Sometimes it's a life or death. It's a death situation. And in my mother's case, it was a death situation. And I just want to say, and that robs the children that she left behind. Why? Because I grew up, yes, I was blessed and I was blessed and I had a family, but I always wanted to know who was my mother, what was she about, what did she like? What was the color of her perfume? You know, the color, what was her favorite color? What was her perfume scent? So this stuff is real, but I also want to say, not only do you hold the adults in your household, your moms, your dads, and your aunts and uncles and grandmas accountable, but I want to tell you today, hold us accountable. Those of us, I'm not talking about the politicians, I'm not I'm not excluding them, but those of us that's in the community saying we're doing stuff, we're there to empower you, to help you, whatever. Get on the internet, Google. If you can't get help in your house, seek it in your community. All of you know how to text, all of you know how to Google and all of that stuff. Google in your community who's doing stuff to empower you, to reach you, and reach out to them. And if we say we're busy or whatever, say, but you said you're about empowerment, you're about battering to beauty. Hold us accountable, just like you will hold your family member accountable, and know that you're here, and each day that you're here, God has a purpose and a plan for you. In Jehovah's name, amen.
And then when you do, like she said, get on the internet. When you do get on the internet, go to batteredtobeautiful.org and leave your comments, leave your telephone numbers, because I want to give you all a call. Okay? And with that being said, I would also want to say happy birthday to Rosalind, because she could have been anywhere, but she wanted to tell her story today. I could stand here and talk to you guys all night, but we got to kind of wrap it up and turn it over to the minister so we can say good night to you all.
Stay right here. I love this girl right here, man. Leaders of Tomorrow, Brooklyn wouldn't be possible without her. She's an impeccable. She is the epitome of a woman. You know, when you look at Aurora Gordon, I'm a rough person to deal with. I'm a rough cookie, okay? Very strict, and this young lady, I'm talking about, you know, she's a mother, she's a sister, she's a friend, she's the epitome of a woman. And I really encourage you girls, you women, all of the women here to allow her to minister into your heart. You know, our next chapter with all the things that we're doing, just to let you guys know, I'll be ordained as a pastor on June 14th. Yes, God is really good. So it'll be on our website. I would love for all you guys to come out and support, see my ordination, the installation of me going into pastoralship. It'll be Leaders of Tomorrow Brooklyn Ministry. And I thank you guys. Now, with that being said, I thank the panel. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your honesty. You know, looking at you guys, looking at you guys, man, encourage me. Because it's so hard to be a woman. I grew up without a father, and I knew Mita so long, and her ex-husband is actually one of my best friends. So, you know, I saw her come up. We did so many things together, you know, and Shakira, I've accepted her as my sister, so I got her back now. Ain't no more bullying, all right? Like my grandma said, sometimes you got to put the Bible aside, baby, so. So I'm here for you. She's a part of Leaders of Tomorrow Brooklyn. Shanae, can you stand up? This is my other sister. Come here. She has been through the ranks, and her son was killed, and she is a great advocate for mothers that have lost their children. So these are all members of Leaders of Tomorrow Brooklyn. Lori, she's under the weather right now. She's sticking it through with us. So, you know, when she leaves, I know you want to shake her hand, but just call her office because she don't want to get you sick, all right? And, you know, all of the panelists, Camille, I can't say enough about you. You remind me of my grandma. You know, just looking at the wisdom, just looking at you speaks wisdom. You know, and our young ladies, we have to understand that she's not boring, she's not whack. It's called wisdom, all right? Understand the difference. So we thank you, and you already know, Ms. Simmons, that, you know, we're going to be doing a lot of things together, and, you know, we're encouraging you.